Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashu Copy Paste. If you're here for the first time, please make sure to subscribe, and if you're already a subscriber, don't forget to like and share our videos. Don't forget the comment section down below is all for you. You can always give us a link, for sure we'll get back to you. Guys, today we are going to listen to an question and answer section by Sheikh Dr. Shabir Ally. It's kind of educating, so I find it very interesting to share this amazing lecture with you. So remember guys, if you're here for the first time, please make sure to subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, don't forget to like, and if you like already, don't forget to share our videos, and don't forget the comment section down below is all for you. You can always drop a link, for sure we'll get back to you. So let's get it.
Welcome to Let the Quran Speak. My name is Sarah Jafari and I am a writer on the show. And Dr. Shabir, welcome to the show. It's very nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. Dr. Shabir, why should it matter what I do if my destiny is already determined by God?
So it's a common question, Sarah, and it's a common question that Muslims have. But not only do Muslims have this question, non-Muslims as well, because the Bible, especially the New Testament, in one of the letters of Paul, it is clear that predestination is a thing, that God created some people for good purposes and some for, to put them in hell. And that's to put it in a crude way. And some interpretations of the Bible actually follow a crude interpretation of this, or arrive at this kind of what we might call a stark determination doctrine. And something like this is in Islamic tradition as well, though the Quran does not actually give a clear indication that everything is predetermined by God in that way. There are verses of the Quran that use the word.
Guys, remember the title of today's lecture is If My Destiny is Already Decided by God, Why Should It Matter Anymore? Something like that. Let's go.
Or qadr, but qadr means something like measurement. So that in Arabic today, one can say, you do not appreciate what I do for you. And the term for appreciation is actually based on the same root. It's taqdir, which means appreciation, basically. So the word qadr and its derivative, taqdir, would be something like God's pre-measurement of all things, God's in a pre-plan for things, but not necessarily in all of its details, especially when it comes to human beings who are given free will. So it could be that God has laid out certain broad parameters, and within those broad parameters, which we cannot cross, we have a lot of leeway to move right or left, but we're still within God's overall control. And that is what I would understand from the Quran to be God's qadr or predetermination of affairs, especially when it comes to human beings. So within those broad parameters, people have the choice to do good things or bad things, and those choices will determine their ultimate destiny.
Right.
So does that help in any way?
It does help. I was wondering if my destiny is already determined, and it's already determined whether or not I'll go to paradise or I'll end up in hell. What's stopping me from just doing whatever I want, even something that's haram, if I know it probably won't even affect my destiny?
Yeah, to take my explanation a little bit further now to deal with this specific. So I would say that it is very clear from the Quran that whether we go to heaven or hell depends on what we choose and what we do. So it'll be quite a turnaround to say that this is already predetermined in advance. Although we will find, like a Muslim writer would write a book on this and related subjects, and then in one chapter, the writer would so emphasize God's control of all affairs right down to the nitty-gritty that you will get the clear impression that that means that whether I'm going to heaven or hell is already predetermined. And then your question naturally arises that, so what's the point of trying to do anything? Because we can't change what is already predetermined for us. But then the same writer in another chapter will go on about how you are responsible for what you choose, and what you choose will be the determining factor about where you end up. And so you're left confused because the writer seems to be asserting two contrary things and never bringing them together into a harmonious reconciliation. So the proper reconciliation, in my humble view, is to recognize that this matter has been discussed by Muslims over the centuries, and hadiths have been attributed to our Prophet, peace be upon him, dealing with this, reflecting the views of people as these discussions unfolded. So some people had the stark determinationist view, in which they feel that everything is predetermined by God. They thought it's a natural and logical corollary from the idea that God knows everything. So God knows where you're going to end up, and therefore you have to end up in the same place. You cannot change that. So that's the determinist view, and that's reflected in some hadiths. And then there are some others who...
Well, it's very true. God knows everything. Allahu A'lam. Something like that. I don't know if I'm right.
Recognize that, wait a minute, it can't be that way, because the Quran is calling on us to do good deeds, and that only makes sense if our future is undetermined. God is sending prophets one after another to guide people. That only makes sense if the guidance is real and people can follow that guidance, they can choose it, and if their positions in the final outcome are already predetermined, like what difference is going to make for God to send any prophets to anybody? So with that idea in mind, which is really the correct Islamic idea, you have hadiths again supporting that. So you have people discussing with each other, and hadiths come to be generated from those discussions and attributed backwards to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as if he said all of these things. And now when people try to reconcile all of these and give each one of the hadiths its due weight, they end up on the determinist side, because those are the overwhelming hadiths that deal with the subject of what we call al-qada wal-qadr, the determination, and it's hard to translate, but qada could mean decisions, and qadr, as we said, could be like the measurement of things. But that's the common term that is used for this subject area of Islamic studies. But to get down now to your question, and to answer it definitively, a few things do I answer definitively, but I would answer this, at least to this extent, definitively by saying it cannot be that your future, Sarah, or my future, whether we're going to end up in hell or heaven, is already predetermined by God, and yet we have this elaborate drama of God sending prophets, sending a book of guidance, and calling on us to follow that guidance, and then saying that he's going to determine our outcome on the day of judgment, which is what the day of judgment is all about. If this is all predetermined in advance, this whole drama is going to make no sense. The whole religion is not going to make sense. So to me, that is definitive. So what is not definitive is, how do we reconcile this? Like, what is the proper understanding? And we can say that this is one of the mysteries about believing in God and in God's omnipotence and omniscience and so on. And it's a mystery that transcends the religion of Islam. It was there in Judaism, it's there in Christianity, and it's here in Islam as well. But if we are to aim for a reconciliation, what I would say is this, that God has determined some broad parameters, and within those broad parameters we have a lot of leeway. And based on that leeway, the choices we make within those broad parameters will determine whether we go to heaven or hell. It is not something that's predetermined before our birth, but it is something that we cause to be determined by our choices and actions.
That makes sense. Thank you very much for that insightful answer, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Okay guys, that was all for today. If you don't know now, you know. If our destiny is already made by God, why should it matter? Well, the decision is all yours to make. It depends on where you want to go to. Okay, thank you very much guys for joining me. If you're here for the first time, guys, please make sure to subscribe, and if you're already a subscriber, don't forget to give us a like, and don't also forget to share our videos. Don't forget the comment section down below is all for you. You can always drop a link for sure. We'll get back to you. Thank you so much.